Okay, buongiorno. Good morning to everyone. I'm pleased to introduce to you Andrew Morsi from eRevMax, Fabian Bartnick from LodgIQ, and Willem Weber from Swiss Hospitality Solution. We will talk about pros and cons in revenue management. We look at some new trends and we'll start the discussion later on with the assistance of Angelo Lariccia that will be sitting into the audience. And maybe we will come up with some questions, and you are most than welcome to join the conversation. Andrew, let's start from your point of view.
First of all, good morning. As Luciano talked today, is really we're talking about revenue management as well as parity, which is a subject which a lot of people really wondering about. Is it good or is it bad? And it's part of our presentation here. We start first
on my
Fabian.
slides.
Yeah. I start now to let Fabian talk about his slide, please.
Cool. Can I have the clicker? Thank you. By the way, good morning, everyone. Who of you did have more than 2 coffees right now? Okay, me, 5. I'm from Switzerland, and I'm very happy I outperformed Italy on coffee this morning. You made my day. I'm going to run you quickly through just a few ideas, and I'm going to hand back to Andrew. Sorry for stealing this one, but I didn't want to leave you with my very poor layout. If you ask me about pro and con of revenue management, I'm a revenue manager. My heart is doing revenue management. I'm the little capitalist in your hotel. I'm only thinking about the money, so I'm absolutely pro, of course. But revenue management is nothing new. So in order to understand it, you have to see there is not just revenue management, there is a series, and we came up with a generation model of how did it evolve. Maybe you want to sit and we all know it started in 1978 with the airlines, and that's boring. 1989, I was born in Germany. The Berlin Wall was still standing. There was no commercial use of the internet yet. And Sherry Kimes came with the first idea of revenue management. And when some people talk about revenue management, in their head, it's still 1989. And what they think is rec rate, and if we don't sell it, discounts. And the focus was occupancy, fill up the hotel. We learned very quickly that just filling the hotel with occupancy and cheap rates is not really a good thing. So we came up with the concept of RevPAR and balancing rates and occupancy. And for some people, this is rocket science, but that was, already almost 20 years back. And at the moment where we are is the 3rd generation, where we say it's good to improve revenue, but it's more important to improve bottom line, profits, GOI. Some people talk about GOP per available room. That's bullshit. GOI rooms or departmental income rooms per available room. Otherwise, the bad performance of your colleagues in food and beverage hit your number, and you don't want that. So the next thing is we're going there, and also we're not talking only about rooms revenue. We're also trying to make the spa and the F&B and everything profitable. And most interesting, function space. Things like this. High profit margin. Super. And the interesting thing here for some GMs, it's difficult. If they go like, we're already sold out, my standard answer is, you were too cheap. And they go like, but we're fully booked. I say, yeah, but that's bad. Fully booked means too cheap. But we're fully booked. I say, no, but it's too cheap. And so it goes back and forth and back and forth. But if you look at the GOI, at profitability, you see the difference. The next thing, we're all talking about things like open pricing, full flexible pricing, personalized pricing, capturing that Mr. X gets a different rate than Mrs. B. This is a great concept. I've seen 2 industry, let's say, sectors doing it. Cruise ships, because you cannot get away. Or let's take small island resorts, it's like a cruise ship not moving. And casino hotels, because you have to show your passport everyone. All the rest, we're still struggling a bit with the data, but the concept is there and it will hit us. And I think Fabian is going to jump into that a little bit more. And then, of course, there's a lot about automation and, oh, the computer is so much more intelligent, and you should give it to an algorithm, and every day there's a new algorithm and a new revenue management system, and every second startup, I'm in some accelerators in the mentor program, because I'm old, so they come and say, oh, we're going to disrupt the industry. If I would get €5 every time I hear this, I'd be a rich man. I would still be in bed or in the city sightseeing. So that's nice, but we shouldn't forget one thing. Before we automate something, before we give it to the computer, we have to have a strategy ourselves. We have to know what we do, and then we can kind of delegate this. If the computer is better in executing it, cool. And computers have advantages. But if I have no strategy and I just install a revenue management system, sorry, that's going to be an effort now. It's a fuck up. It's not going to work. So this is the actual 5 generations of revenue management that we have. And the important thing is, before we debate whether it's good or bad, every time we move to the next generation is more advanced than the generation before. Like, who is older than 40 years? I'm 40. I'm more advanced than you. Who is younger than 40 years? You are more advanced than I am. But it's not like good or bad. It's just like, where are we right now with the status? And just one thing, we've been debating a lot on conferences on forecast accuracy. How accurate is the forecast from the system? And this is useless. I've been a big fighter for forecast accuracy as well. It's completely useless because, let's say, 4 weeks in ahead, I say, oh, general manager, we're going to be 100,000 below budget. Bad news. And if by the end of the month we are 100,000 below budget, bad result, I'm there smiling. Very accurate. Good forecast. So good forecast, but bad situation. If I say, oh no, if we continue like this, we're going to be 100,000 below budget. Let's do everything we can to change it. And we end up with only 50,000 below budget. It's still not great, but less bad. Forecast accuracy is worse, but the result is better. I'm driven by results. That's the next generation. And it's, by the way, supported. Yuval Harari, one of the biggest thinkers of this century, he's the author of a book called Homo Deus. Great thing. He said, what's the meaning of having a forecast if not striving to change everything? So if we forecast today, climate change will kill us all, we should do something against it. And forecast accuracy, we're happy if it's not accurate, if we still survive. So forecast is just the meaning of changing the world. And that's a new thinking. That's the next generation. But I'm talking too long because the driver behind all of this is not books, it's not German people talking, it's technology. And there's one guy here on the podium who's absolutely great in technology, and this is Andrew. So listen to him. He's also 40 plus, and, but he's more advanced than I am. Thank you very much. Andrew, over to you.
Thank you very much, Fabian. Just to reiterate on what Wilko said, forecast is coming out of your history, and it's not set in stone, which means when you forecast, you gotta really looking at your booking pace after you forecast. Is it really matching your forecast or not? If it's not, you just change it. It's not set in stone. It's something to point to reach. But if you see booking pace is going faster than your forecast, it doesn't mean that you still stick to your forecast. You gotta change your forecast to a better forecast. And it's always evolving. You change your forecast every day based on what's happening today, or what happened today, and what's happening tomorrow. And you keep on changing it to reach the best goal, not only the forecast. All right? Any questions?
Yes, I have one, actually. I was very interested in the consideration that Fabian was Wilhelm was making. But then, I think it's an easy thing. I mean, actually, who's interested in forecast for himself? Who cares about the forecast accuracy, as we were saying before? We're actually not so interested in knowing if the forecast is accurate or not, if it doesn't help us in telling us how we will be performing. So actually, the use of forecast, in my opinion, has always been, it's a kind of weather forecast. I mean, it's like weather forecast that you decide if you take your boat to sail in the sea or not. So the forecast should tell you, what's the weather situation like? Are you going to face a storm or not? And this means that you can still go on the boat if there's a storm and come back safely. Same thing, you can go out in the sea if you have a beautiful weather forecast and not come back. So the forecast should at least tell you what the chances are to go in a situation or not. Then I 100% agree that the forecast reliability needs to change in the future because the goal is not to forecast accurately, but to tell you exactly what to do or not, or what the pros and cons are of a certain choice.
Sure.
Maybe to add to this, you're absolutely right. The forecast is very important because it's like driving your car looking into the front or driving your car looking into the back. And into the back, I'm from Switzerland, is no good idea. I just want to say that the forecast accuracy kind of fight, this is a little bit like masturbating. So it's useless. There's no output in reproduction.
Well, I don't know about yours, but I'm pretty sure a lot will disagree on that one.
Okay, let's go back to the technology. But again, the thing in our hotels which sticks is budget. Budget, it's really the owner's dream or the corporate office dream. That doesn't change, and we hopefully reach it. But then forecast, it's evolving. It's changing every single day. It's never been set in a stone. So talking about technology, I get a lot of questions of people who said, my hotel is too small. How could I get a revenue management system, as example? I say, I worked as a revenue manager for 17 years in so many different countries, so many different hotels. One of the high-performing hotel chains in in Italy, without saying names, till today, they are high-performing with Excel spreadsheet. So having a revenue management system is not really the must, because sometimes also it's a sin. What does it mean? Technology, what does it do? Takes your data, scramble it, which we call it algorithm, and come up with a forecast and pricing. However, how that could be good and how it could be bad, it could be good if your data is clean, your market segment is proper, based on buying power, not on a reason of a trip. And then it will take this data and come up with the right forecast. But if your practice is not good, if your reception at the end of the night checks in the no-show to put it into revenue, there's so many things,
Andrew,
your market segment is not proper.
Sorry, can I stop you just for a question while you're talking? Because you're talking about data, okay? Everybody now is paying so much attention to big data. But from what you're saying, so you mean that also small data are important. I mean, you're talking about small hotel. So small hotel cannot access to big data if they have no technology, as you say. So are still small data important for medium-sized hotels, small hotels?
Sure.
How can you compare them and face
You
them
see,
with big data?
it's very simple, guys. It's Excel. Excel can do miracles. You track your business, you average it, you forecast with the average, you track your business, all this in Excel. I did, in my life, I worked once with revenue management systems. And actually, in some cities here in Milan, let's say, they have so many installation of one revenue management systems. Not one hotel uses the system to forecast, to price. They use it as a big calculator in order just to know things, but they still do whatever they want. So we started as a company, my company, we started to build a revenue management system. But we realized it's a black box, and people don't understand it, they get scared from it. Because so many data, so many algorithms, so many hidden things, I don't understand where it's coming from. People didn't use it. We said, okay, let's start with giving hotels small tools, channel management tools, pricing tools to check your price in a competitive set. Basically, revenue management system doesn't look at competitive set a lot, right? And now, 83% of the buyers are shoppers. They come through channels and they spend so many times to look for better price. What the revenue management system know about that? Nothing, actually. I'm not against revenue management system, but what I'm saying is it's like a sword with two angles. If you don't put good data in it, then it will become garbage in, garbage out. So be careful of what you do, because clean your system, clean your practice, clean your data, make sure it's running well for a year. Because when you run it for a year and you come looking at May, and you look at all Tuesdays, you take the average and forecast it, take the outliers out. I'm sure I'm talking too fast for some people, but if you have any questions after that about it, let me know. But it's very easy to forecast. Accuracy in forecast was 5%, I did 2.3. Not because I'm a smart or magician, it's practice. It's like anything else, okay? Back to technology, we started really looking at our marketing, device platforms, social media, SEOs, and then we came to the positioning, and then customer booking, review sites, social websites, match OTAs, agency, booking analyst, stay pattern, price point at conversion, booking source, reputation management, repeat booking, all these loyalty programs. A lot of these things already disappeared. There's no loyalty anymore. When I worked in the past life in hotels, we have like 38% of people comes back and just call and book the room. The same people who are willing to pay or paid before $350, finally they come in with $159 booking from our website. People not loyal to the brand anymore, people loyal to the price, right? And it's not only the price. Be careful, because sometimes the price also doesn't mean much. It has to be price value to what you're selling. So it doesn't mean you have a cheap room, people will love it. No, it has to be a good price for what the value of that room. Okay, it's not only about the price. You know, people can buy a crappy cars, but then because it's cheap, but it's the crappy car at the end of the day, it's going to break down. Okay? Consumer, talking about booking brands and dominant consumer point of view, basically, we used to have the consumer going to the booking brand and the state brands. As you see, things has been changing a lot in the market. A lot of people looked at branding and chains, sorry. And now, people only going after good pricing, good rooms, and how could I do revenue management. And then we got into something very confusing for a lot of people, rate parity. Who does rate parity here? Only one. Who doesn't do rate parity? Everybody. So I gotta go home now, because I was coming to tell you, don't do rate parity, but apparently nobody does rate parity. Rate parity is not viable, doesn't work. Because if you give everybody 100, it means that you could be very good positioned in Expedia, but in Booking.com you're totally off, and other websites you're totally low. So parity, your channels will take your €100 and make it 110, 120, and they make money on you, and you still don't have rate parity. Rate parity is not, it's illegal basically in a lot of countries now, but also it's never viable. People think, I need to have, you know, rate parity everywhere because that's right, people will see the one rate everywhere. No, you will not see the one rate everywhere. You think so, but you will not see one rate because your channels will play with your rates. They will put the rate, make markup on it, and make money on it. And you're just sitting there thinking that you're doing rate parity. Okay? Anybody disagree with that? Okay,
Andrew.
Next. Now, talking about the guest, this is a fact, real fact. The guest will spend or will look at 38 websites for 45 days before they make a decision. Can you believe that? That's an average. You're looking at corporate. Leisure, they do booking far out like that. And they keep them, because leisure is a price-sensitive segment. They are the one who books far out, and they are the one who doesn't want to pay a lot of money. Corporate, as we all know, they are not price-sensitive. They just have the convenience, not the price. They don't want to travel 1 hour to go to their destination because not to pay more. No, they will pay more. But it's amazing that how many people nowadays, when I worked in 1992, but that makes me very old,
Andrew,
in a
sorry.
hotel.
Can I stop again because there's a question from
Please.
a guy from the people here.
Hi. Well, I was the only one raising my hands about rate parity. My name is Stefano Fusari. I work for the Grand Hotel Minerva here in Florence. We use a eRevMax with all its forecasts and so on. But again, I don't see any real option to rate parity. What's yours?
And there's no
What's the alternative? What's you're talking about no parity?
Our alternative is totally is competitiveness. Price. Hello? A competitive price. Is this thing falling apart? Your price needs to be competitive per channel, which means if you put 100 euro all over the board, that means that you could be off in so many places. What does it mean off? You could be highly priced in some channels and you lose the opportunity. You could be low in a different channel and you still have the business, but at a lower price than what you should have. Basically, people, when they look at Expedia, they see 5, 6 hotels. If your hotel is not competitively priced in there, you're not going to get the business.
Just 1 second. There's
Just to add to this.
yeah, the question from the public is, for sure is,
you are a
what's
single-
the reason of Trivago being alive?
Yeah.
So, why did Trivago was born?
Yeah, just to get to your
Let me
question,
just-
rate parity for you as a single hotel. If you don't want to do it, your concept is very easy. You give one price to intermediaries, Booking.com and so on, and you ensure everyone that the best price is directly on your website.
Yeah, but this is for sure.
And this is why
Everybody
we
understands
have Trivago. And I mean, the meta search is just there because we don't have rate parity. This is why they're shopping all over. So in a world of imparity, from a hotel perspective, what you want to drive is the assurance that every guest booking with you directly has got access to the best value and to the best price. It can be price, value, conditions, any kind of this. But from a hotel owner, do the best price on your website and do a not so good price on everywhere else. Easy.
Okay, talking again about rate parity, look at this slide. Look where parity is being illegal in so many places. I'm sure some of you don't know that. But in a lot of countries now, rate parity as a sentence to be used, it's illegal. It's not the point, really. I'm not going to scare you from that using this sentence. However, it's invalid. It cannot work. Be properly positioned in every channel compared to your competitive set. And 3 dashes under competitive set, because competitive set is extremely important as a guide. And it could hurt you so badly. I've been sitting with a general manager in Rome, without again mentioning names, and the lady, general manager, told me, this is my competitive set. I said, oh, great. Is this hotel is your competitive set? Yes. I said, where is this hotel located? She said, across the street. I said, can we go and see it to make sure that you're comparing apple to apple? She said, well, the hotel is closed. I said, okay, fine. Now you got all the business from that hotel because it's closed. She said, no, not really. We didn't get any. What does it mean? It's not your competitor at all. It doesn't mean it's in front of you. Just next door, it's your competitor. It's different quality, a different brand, different goods, basically. And then I've been to another hotel, and the GM told me this competitive set. I found a hotel next to the airport. Where's this hotel? Near terminal, in front of the train station. I said, how could you compete when you are in the city center with the hotel by the airport? She said, the GM is my friend and we always compete. So be careful with competitive set. It could be very harmful and it could be very good. Just, how do you know your competitive set? Anybody knows? Best way to know your competitive set? I'm the only one who knows? No, it's impossible. Ask your customer. Tell them, if you didn't book here, where would you have booked? If our hotel was full, where would you go? It's the easiest, simplest, most accurate way to know your competitive set. Make a small survey, 3-4 questions. When people come to check in, while they writing the registration card, give them this to fill. They will tell you who's your competitive set, because they will go there if you are not available. Very easy way. I made 2 examples.
Do you have some kind of form to explain how to make a
Sure, sure. First question, is it
Hold on,
first time in
hold
your
on,
in
hold
my
on.
hotel?
Hold on. Nobody understood.
I'm sorry, I was asking Corsa Luigi from Villa Le Barone in Chianti. I was asking an example to how to make up a competitive set.
Sure. Did everybody hear that? How to do competitive set, right?
I will do that in the morning usually.
Yeah.
No, I mean, what we usually do in following Andrew's example is I prepare a small A5
Survey.
Leaflet, and then I ask the restaurant manager when he comes for breakfast and ask you, would you like a coffee and cappuccino? And then when he comes back, we come back with this short survey with a pen and a chocolate in the winter and a bonbon during the summer, and you just have to mark down while you have breakfast the selection you have. And then, of course, you carry out the survey on Monday and Friday one week. The following week, you do it on Tuesday and Sunday, Wednesday and next Thursday or whatever. And so in 6 or 8 months, you have a clear view on how a competitor set is made.
And please don't make it long. People won't do it. Just make it like 3-4 questions. The most question is, where would you have booked if my
not
hotel is not available?
No, I'm sorry. I used to be a pricing manager in a very large American company with industrial goods. And what I find in the hotel trade is that we are very simplistic about value mapping. So, I mean, we're comparing pricing, the pricing of one bed. We are not highlighting differences. And so, I mean, we're all afraid of all the TripAdvisors and Booking and Expedias, you know, comparing to the last decimal of pricing, you know, without highlighting differences. And I believe that we should be much more discriminant in our offer, explaining what we're offering to the customer. New pool, sauna.
Yeah, value for the product, not only pricing.
Well, we used to do what was called price value mapping.
Sure.
During which, well, we were highlighting to the customer who knew, you know,
Yeah.
what he was getting for the price.
Correct. It's not only about price. I'm not talking about reducing your price to get the business. Don't ever reduce your hotel price, your window. For this ladies here who like Gucci, Gucci will never sell cheaper in their shop than the outlet. And if you go to the outlet of Prada and you find the prices are lower than the Prada shop, you will know that something wrong. This product is not real, it's fake. Because nobody, your value at a hotel, as any product, is in your window. Has to be high because people receive value to the price. Something, you know, very cheap. If I give you a Rolex and I tell you this Rolex really is 5,000 euro, but I'm willing to give it to you for 200, would you believe if this is real Rolex? No. So don't ruin your value of your product. Discounted in the discounted channels only. So people say, oh, this Rolex really 5,000, I got it for 4. It's a good deal, people will believe you. But then if I go for 200, say, oh, something wrong. This is fake. So don't ruin your value of your product. Make it strong. If you want to discount it, give value with it, and keep the discounted channels discounted themselves. Why? Because they have restrictions, they have markups, they have a lot of different things. Is that clear? Now, we talk about parity. When you book a flight and you sit in the chair and you're paying 100 euros, the next person paying 1,000. Why you booked early, you booked late? Simple. So why do we have in the hotels or in the hospitality industry dying so hard to do parity? It's never done anywhere. And people don't complain in the airline. You can't go back and say, I paid 100 and this guy paid 1,000. Why do I have to pay 1,000? Disparity, it matters. This is also some interesting information. 1 of 4, on average, a hotel website price was undercut by OTA. It's fine. Let it be cut by OTA. That's their business. They spend so much money to get the business at a cheaper rate. They do so much marketing, which is okay. Don't fight them. Annual cost of undercutting hotels as a result of losing direct booking is $1 billion. Massive. But what can you do? And that billion looks very scary, but see how many billions actually you got by having all these channels. So don't get this number scare you. Now, direct price is cheaper than OTAs by more than $10 in average. You actually, this is scary to have a cheaper rate than your OTAs. This is restricted rates. This is discounted rate. Why it has to be cheaper? Convenient choice, content, and price drives guests to book. 75% of travelers use OTAs to shop for hotels. Make sense? Travelers use OTAs for ease of use. Travelers use OTAs to get the lowest price. Of course. Hotel shoppers spend on websites around 30 minutes before they make the reservation. We talked about this. Leisure people take a lot of time. They go around so many websites to get the best rate. Doesn't mean the cheapest, but best for value. Because some people still buy Mercedes, even though the Toyotas are there. So not everybody wants the cheapest. They want the best for their money. Status of rate parity in Europe. Again, we talked about this briefly. All rate parity clauses are banned. Ban announced. Ban for some OTAs. No worldwide rate parity clause for Booking and Expedia. So, no parity. Please, no parity. Generally applies to public available rate. That means if you have a loyalty club, which hardly anybody does nowadays, a discount group of similar, you can offer them a better rate privately. So if you want to discount your rate, discount it discreetly. Send it by email as a promotion. Don't publish it. Because again, your public rate, your bar rate, is your value rate. Because you cannot have a 5-star and their bar rate is 200 euros. And the opposite is true. You cannot have a 2 stars and their bar rate is 500. So hotels usually put their bar rate, their face rate, we call it, is the value of their product. You can discount that, but discreetly.
Hallelujah.
Finally.
Thank you. Give it up for the old man.
Thank you.
I am confused. We love revenue management, but we don't like the technology. Who's your competitor? Oh, I don't know who my competitor is. Let's ask our guests. What else did we look at? We talked about masturbation, but I just leave that for the rest of you to imagine. The question then came up about value, right? And I want to talk to you about how the pricing now goes across the entire landscape for you, right? So we are representing the new age of revenue management systems where we don't need to ask your guests who your competitors are. I can digitally know who your competitors are. You might not agree with it, but then let's have a conversation about that. But then again, that doesn't cover the value aspect. So let's look at the value aspect for a moment, okay? Anybody who has, you had a piece of paper, right? Can you write down a number for me? Or can I write a number down?
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you. Okay? So I've just done a forecast. Do you all have a thing called mobile phone? Yeah? Can you raise your hand if you're an Apple user? Apple. Oh, crikey. Leave them up, okay? Leave them up if you have more than one device from Apple. Leave it up. Would you mind standing up and looking at the difference? So again, if you have one device, please have up. And if you have 2 devices, please keep them up. Would you agree that's about 99%? What did I write down?
Sorry?
What did I write down?
99%.
Forecast accurate. Wow. Android users from Samsung, raise your hands. Yeah, don't be shy, don't be shy. We know you're there, right? Leave your hands up if you have, listen carefully, don't put it down, be proud. If you have a secondary device that is not a TV, a fridge, or an oven from that same supplier. Would you agree that literally everybody dropped their hands? Yeah? What number did I write down? 2%. Forecasting accuracy, spot on! Okay, so that brings me to price value. Value, Apple, really good at product differentiation. What you mentioned earlier, really good at defining what my products are. Samsung, really shit. Right? And I've had both systems, and I don't want to say I swing both ways, but in that kind of instance, both have the advantages. Now, then we're talking about price, and we'll talk about parity, and we talk about everything else. Okay. Any mathematicians around here? Okay, anybody smart in the audience? One smart guy, come on. No, it's okay, I'm looking at you right now, you're sitting very close. Okay, I'll give you a mathematical equation. And all I need you to do is answer that. Really quickly, yeah? You ready? Yeah. No, you're really ready. No. Okay. 8 times, 7 times, 6 times, 5 times, 4 times, 3 times, 2 times 1 is closer to 1,500 or 500? 3, 2, 1, tell me. 500, okay, thank you. How you doing? You ready? Yes. Another equation for you. 1 times, 2 times, 4 times, 3 times, 8 times, 7 times, 6 times 5 is what? Closer to 5,000 or 3,500?
5,000.
Thank you. So, thank you for participating. I've just screwed with your mind, right? Humans are extremely bad at making decisions if I don't put them in context. It's called a cognitive bias called anchoring. So his brain was 8 times 7, that's 50, 6 times 6, that's something around the 300. Crikey, that gets a lot. I don't know, I'll just go for whatever I fancy, right? But must be a lot. Her, on the other hand, went like 1 times 2, oh, that's easy, that's 2, times 3, that's 6, times 24, 56, now it gets really complicated, but that must be a lot. The number is 43,200. Now, why do I make this experiment with you? All you Apple users, have you ever realized that the iPhone X, anybody having the iPhone X? Good, very good. Yeah? For 999 euros, you get the 16 giga one. For 1,099, you get the 256 gigabit one. Awesome! For 100 euros more, I get all this space. I have no idea what that actually means, but I know that 16 gig doesn't take a lot of selfies. Right? Just what I've done with you by giving you a number as a reference, they giving you a decoy to anchor your price in your mind so that you don't say 999, that's really expensive. What you're thinking is 1099, wow, for $100 more, I'll get this wonderful big gigabit thing. Very good at it. And they do that across the last 6 iPhone ranges. Now, why does it matter for us? Now, we have a thing called bar. Anybody got bar? Not the one you get hammered in, but okay. Would you agree that a typical pricing structure in a hotel would look something like this? You have a value package, you have a breakfast, you have a saver, and you have a promotion. Yeah? Generally advanced purchase. You've got a bed and breakfast on top. Maybe you have a honeymoon. And then in bad times, you run a promotion. Would that be fairly accurate? You look at me and go like, I don't work in hotels, but yeah? Okay, fantastic. So if you make that one little price change, you know how we look at competitors and we have all those discussions and we talk for an hour and then somebody says, should we do 5 euros or 10 euros? That price now goes over to dynamic wholesale and dynamic corporates. Wait with the pictures, there's more. Way more. Gets really sexy. So, if you look at, forget the corporates for a moment. Who still deals with those people called hotel beds in GTA? Nobody? You serious? They're out of business here. Anybody dealing with wholesalers? Yeah. So your wholesalers might have asked you to give them dynamic and static rates. Yeah? So essentially you're out of control because they choose based on if you're pricing up or down and the profit margin, if they should go and sell the static or the dynamic rate. Now we could go, boo, we don't like the OTAs, we don't like those wholesalers. But they're a business, they have to do that, otherwise they would be out of business. For you, that just means you're screwed for the next 2 years. Internally, most of them have approximately a conversion ratio of moving static to dynamic at about 40 to 45%. And the reason is so that they can compete with other businesses around there. Now, from then on, we're going over to the beloved rate parity. And the rate parity is based generally, if you look at your contracts, on desktop. It doesn't cover much more than that. It says a publicly available rate, right? What they also do is, for a discount, you can get a package, so a room and a flight. Now, I looked after 50 properties globally. I owned an airline, and we were not able to sell airline tickets on my hotel side. Now, we're then coming into closed user group pricing. Do you like blue or red? Blue. Do you like blue or red? Blue. We are part of the blue club. You like red? He's red. He's part of the red club. That means rate parity is already out of the question. Why? Because I've just closed usered you. And for the OTAs, that means the 120 million privileged members that gave me their email address and said yes. If you go geofenced, I'll go into that, mobile and private sale. Now we then have OTAs, I don't mention names, who have a 24-hour hold, right? And what that 24-hour hold means is, even if you prepay because you're such a nice guy, you can change. And then they go to the hotel and say, please, can you allow that? Please, 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 please do a refund. Please, pretty please. Tell them to F off, literally. It's their battle, not yours, right? Now, true story. I had an OTA come to me and said, Fabian, I made you 1,000 rooms last month. And I was like, I have no idea who you are, but thank you. I then had the wholesaler coming and tell me, Fabian, I gave you 1,000 rooms last month. And I looked at my data and I was like, crikey, I only have 1,000 rooms. So one of you is lying. Nobody was lying. So what happened was that OTA on the left was buying from the OTA of the right, equally buying from the wholesaler on the left, and then putting it through as a private sale without me ever knowing it. And all I knew, it came through as a wholesaler one. Do that for a Thursday morning, hey? We then move into geofence pricing. Right? Geofence pricing, anybody knows what the geofence pricing is? It's pretty much discrimination at the highest level. You come from China, you get better rate. Now, there's companies that do it properly by IP address. If you download VPN software to mimic that you are in a different country, you deserve 20%. Right? Other people, like OTAs starting with a big E and finishing with Expedia, they do it by point of sale. So anybody wanting to go to Bali this month or this year?
Fabian,
yeah?
we have 5 minutes left.
I need the 1 minute.
We have 5 minutes left, and so we need to close that.
Okay, so essentially, if you want to go to Bali, do .com.au. Now, what happens also is that if you give some a discount because somebody else is buying it from them, you get contradicting messages. Ctrip will call you if you do something with Agoda because they're buying from them. Now, if you then continue and say, okay, I'm not going to play with you, they're anyways going to buy somewhere for the wholesalers, put it through as a private sale, and again, you're screwed. So that's pretty much the pricing in the 21st century. Thank you from my side. Any questions?
I think it hands over to
So
Andrew.
how does Logic help with all of that?
It goes back
Logic
to
will take,
Andrew.
whoop, Logic? So we are Logic. We're pretty cool, sexy, new revenue management system.
You are,
Oh, we are.
yeah. Despite the masturbation discussion, but okay.
It's good. I put that on the USPs, ability to masturbate to our system. So, we take all of that information into consideration from the different channels. We then will run it through an optimization engine, and that's the beauty of machine learning. So if you're doing Excel in 5 years' time, ladies and gentlemen, you will be out of a job. I'm telling you that right now, right? Because the computer will take care of it from an integration perspective. What it does, it crunches all those numbers and gives you a price recommendation either at room type level, at rate plan level, whatever you like. Even if you don't know your competitive set, we equally calculate that for that. You know what? You want to change your competitive set? Be my guest and see what the optimization would look like. You want a what-if scenario to say, if I would have made a different decision, no problem, we can do that for you. It's like sex on legs, really. Any other questions for any of our panelists? Myself? Luciano?
No, actually, it's back to Andrew's time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fabian. Rate integrity over rate parity. I think we talked about this too much already. Rate integrity, which means you have to have a very good rate, reflects your value, not the rate parity. Let the discount be out from your own window, for your main shop. Price matter, and so does the experience. So you can have the best price, but people come, have bad experience, not going to come back. So don't focus so much on the price as much as the value you give to the customer, from amenity to services. It's a key.
So just a second, if you go back to that one, 2 baguettes and a bottle of champagne, what kind of experience is that? Is that
There's
is that
cheese
kind of
in the box, you don't see it.
Ah,
The 4 levers of revenue management: rate strategy, inventory control, distribution mix, and marketing. This is basically the base aspect of doing any revenue management in your hotel.
That's Fabian's.
Again to Fabian.
Thank you. So if you look at your data, there's shitloads of data out there. Like, if you want to get your hands on data, it's a question of paying for it, but everybody can. It's democratized. Now, if you're all the way on the left and you're still asking what happened, technology most probably will not do a big difference to you, but there is technology that you can use to help you transition through the different stages of maturity. But if you can't even ride a bicycle and you want a Ferrari, chances are you fail from the get-go. So be honest with yourself and say, where am I? And then you can make progress. Because at every stage you will make more money. Because at every stage you will learn something new and be better at what you're doing. It's like me telling my wife I'm going to the gym, and I kind of always do 10 minutes at a time. So, we're talking big data, right? But what you want is small data. You want to turn that noise into knowledge. There's an awful lot of garbage out there, right? I can tell you, there is a lot of inputs that go into technology, right? Currency conversion, events, PMS data, weather, page ranking, customer intent, competitive pricing, blah, 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 right? But you need technology in order to crunch through all of that and say, hang on one second, I got this big pie, but I only want to find that little bullet that will give me the information that I need, visualizations that I understand. You talked about black box? Absolutely. If it's written in a different language, what do you want me to do? I can't read. So giving it to the user at all levels to be able to interact with the data, giving me alerts to say, when do I actually need to move my ass and when I don't? Equally, when to restrict, when to set different prices.
Andrew, the closure is yours. I like the slide very much, actually.
Okay. Make it short and sweet, and we didn't talking too much. Basically, price is only one of 4 P's. It's not only price, as we always said. There's promotion. It's finished.
Can we just finish?
Totally finished.
1 second more, please.
Okay. Can you move your head a little bit? So SEOs, direct booking promo, review, user-generated content, place, platform-based pricing, brand website, regional offering, best product OTAs, packaging, closed groups offer brand-only, value addition, loyalty. I think this is summarize what we talked about a lot. You can discount, but discreetly, package things, compete with the websites, but not on price, on value. They are selling price only. They're trying to be cheaper. They go to the very price-sensitive people who spend hours to get the price. You give value. Don't give a cheaper price, give better value than them. Thank you very much.
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you to Andrew. Thank you to William. Thank you to Fabian. And thank you to Luciano Scauri. We leave this stage for the next panel. And volevi dire qualcosa, Luciano?
No, a posto. Grazie a tutti. Alla prossima.
Grazie.
Bene.